Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Israel Wake Up. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study, 18th of December, 2025. Okay. We'll be dealing with what's the significance of a head covering for a woman. We're going to look at it from a biblical perspective, and then we're going to play the video. Then we'll go in, deal with the scriptures, and rightly divide it. Okay. You can go to our channel, Israel Wake Up. Check out our videos. We have over 100 or so videos so far, and these videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Okay. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. Okay. This channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up in these last days to their true identity and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom, shalom, and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Psalms. We have our Women's Health Moment with Michelle. There's the current events, need to know information. Then we open it up for anybody with questions or comments, any dialogue or testimonies. Then our topic for discussion is the African opportunities that no one is talking about that's going on in Africa as we speak. And then our main subject is what is the significance of head covering for women. And then we'll deal with that. Then we'll pick a scripture like we normally do, break the scripture down, then we'll close out. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before thee, and we are thankful for the knowledge and the understanding that you have given us up to this point. And we seek thy face, that you shower us with peace and enlightenment and togetherness. Oh Lord, we see thy hand in the affairs of the world, and we know and understand that what you have spoken in the past will surely come to pass. Turn out thy face from us, but hearken unto our plea. Hearken, O Lord, and do. All praises unto you. Okay. Now we'll read the Psalms. Okay.
Shalom. I'll be reading from Psalms chapter 39. Verse 1 says, I said, I will take heed to my ways, that I sin not with my tongue. I will keep my mouth with a bridle while the wicked is before me. I was dumb with silence. I held my peace, even from good, and my sorrow was stirred. Verse 3, my heart was hot within me while I was musing, the fire burned. Then spake I with my tongue. Lord, make me to know my end and the measure of my days, what it is, that I may know how frail I am. Behold, thou hast made my days as a hard breath, and my age is as nothing before thee. Verily, every man at his best state is altogether vanity. Selah. Surely every man walketh in a vain show. Surely they are disquieted in vain. He heapeth up riches and knoweth not who shall gather them. And now, Lord, what wait I for? My hope is in thee. Verse 8, deliver me from all my transgressions. Make me not the reproach of the foolish. I was dumb, I opened not my mouth, because thou didst it. Remove thy stroke away from me. I am consumed by the blow of thy hand. When thou hast with rebukes doest correct man for iniquity, thou makest his beauty to consume away like a moth. Surely every man is vanity. Selah. Hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ear unto my cry. Hold not thy peace at my tears, for I am a stranger with thee, and a sojourner as all my fathers were. O spare me, that I may recover strength before I go hence and be no more. Psalms 39, 1 through 13.
Okay, you got any feedback on that?
Pretty much, the feedback I have is like it to me. It says that um, that the Lord fights your battles for you. When you put your trust in Him and you believe in Him, and He will go before you, and He will let you know. Like verse the one that says 9, I was dumb. I opened not my mouth because thou didst it. I wanted to ask you about that. Was that I was dumb? Was that like in silence and didn't say anything? And because he knew the Lord was going to help him.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So he prayed about it, then it happened. So
Yes, sir.
it was no need of him saying nothing. He saw it manifest.
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Okay. Yeah, I want to shine the light on verse 12. It says, hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ear unto my cry. Uh, hold not all thy peace at my tears, for I am a stranger. This is what I was trying what people have to understand about who we are and who these other races are. He says, uh, I am a stranger with thee and a sojourner, as all my fathers are. So when he's talking about is what he told Abraham, what he told Jeremiah before you came in the womb, before when you understand that when the fetus is being established in the woman's womb, that's when the Lord of hosts puts the spirit in there. And that spirit was in heaven before it came to the earth. And he puts it in the womb in there. So uh, you hear Abraham saying this a lot, but David is saying it right here that he's just a sojourner down here. He came from heaven, and his time here is only going to be for a time, and he'll be gathered back to his father. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go to our women's health moment with Michelle.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Please know that the information provided on this channel is intended for general knowledge only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment for any medical conditions. You should not use this information to diagnose or treat a health problem or disease without consulting a qualified healthcare provider. Tonight's discussion is on healthy aging. Healthy aging is the process of maintaining good physical, mental, and social health and well being as we grow older. Healthy aging starts early on in life. It means adopting healthy habits and making positive lifestyle choices that contribute to overall well being as we age. Starting early is important to avoid many health complications that may arise in later life, but it is never too late to adopt healthy habits for positive change. Yes, healthy aging practices may help prevent or delay some of the conditions associated with aging, such as arthritis, muscle loss, high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes. Excuse me, the same things we do to stay healthy in our younger years can also help us later in life. But there are nutrients that become especially important as you age, includes protein, vitamin D, calcium, and vitamin B12. Other nutrients that may help you as you age include potassium, iron, magnesium, and omega-3 fatty acids. Proper nutrition is the cornerstone of wellness at any stage of life. But remember, as we age, our nutritional needs change. The importance of maintaining a well balanced diet only grows. A balanced diet can help older adults maintain energy, support immune function, preserve muscle mass, and reduce the risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, and arthritis. I will be reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 46, verse 3 and 4, idols and captivity. Hearken unto me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, which are born by me from the belly, which are carried from the womb. Verse 4. And even to your old age I am he, and even to hoar hairs will I carry you. I have made, and I will bear. Even I will carry, and will deliver you. Tonight's discussion was on healthy aging, and I read from the book of Isaiah, chapter 46, verses 3 and 4. Shalom, everyone.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, but that verses you just read, they're saying the same thing that was in Psalms 39 when he says that he's a sojourner here, and Lord Host just mentioned in those verses that he's going to carry them from the time they're born to the time they pass away. So it's like I said, he's the one that's placing the soul, that's the spirit that's in the body at birth, and then when they pass away, that's what the role of these angels. They escort the body, they escort the soul back to heaven, where it came from. Okay, appreciate that information. Okay, we go to our current event. Okay.
It's always about oil, isn't it? You can study the complex motives, you can debate the geopolitical possibilities, but at the end of the day, it is always oil. That's the story in Venezuela. US President Donald Trump is ramping up the pressure. Yesterday, another Venezuelan boat was hit. As always, the US is calling it a drug boat. They say 4 narco-terrorists were killed. No evidence, no trial, just good old American justice. But all this narco talk could be a cover. A cover for what? For snatching Venezuela's resources. Because look at the trajectory. Trump began this operation by talking about drugs. He complained about narco terrorists and gangs in Venezuela. But suddenly, oil has entered the picture.
Venezuela has been a very bad actor. They've been, as you know, they've been sending millions of people into our country. Many of them Tren de Aragua, some of the worst gangs. Well, we're going to stop the drug trafficking, and we've done a lot. There's nobody coming in on the water. That I can tell you. The water is like, there's nobody. There's no drugs coming in on the water. Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back.
You see the goalpost shift. First, Trump complained about migration, then he complained about drugs, and now he wants oil. His advisor, Stephen Miller, went a step ahead. Look at his statement, and I'm quoting, "American sweat, ingenuity, and toil created the oil industry in Venezuela. Its tyrannical expropriation was the largest recorded theft of American wealth and property." Two claims here. One, that America created Venezuela's oil industry, and two, that the oil industry is American property. Where is this claim coming from? Time for a quick history lesson. Venezuela has around 300 billion barrels of oil. Those are the proven crude reserves, and they are the biggest in the world. Western companies began drilling there in the early 1900s. Many of them got incentives from the government. This oil revenue enriched Venezuela. In the 1960s, they played a key role in setting up OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Basically, it's a cartel of oil-producing nations. Then things began to change in 1972. That's when Venezuela took over the assets of Western oil firms like Exxon, Shell, and Chevron. Venezuela combined them to create a state oil firm. And this was not sudden. This was a negotiated nationalization. But the second round was more contentious, and this one happened in 2007. Many Western firms demanded billions in compensation, and that is the root of Trump's complaint. He feels that US companies were kicked out unfairly, so now he wants payback. He wants Venezuela's oil wells and wealth. There's one problem, though. That is not how the world works. International law is very clear about natural resources. If it falls inside your borders, it belongs to you. That is the law. Maybe foreign firms invested in it, maybe foreign workers extracted it. None of it matters. The resource belongs to you. Can you claim compensation? Yes, you can. But that's not what Donald Trump is doing. He is surrounding Venezuela with warships. This week, he imposed a blockade on sanctioned oil tankers. There are 30 such tankers in the Caribbean. If they try to sail out of the region, the US will seize them. They've already seized one such tanker. But Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro is defiant. He says the oil trade will continue.
Trade in and out will continue. Our oil and all our natural wealth that by the Constitution and Bolivar's legacy belongs, our wealth, our land, and our oil, to its only legitimate owner, which for centuries and centuries has been our sovereign people of Venezuela, the absolute owner of the land, subsoil.
Okay, any feedback on that? Anybody got keeping up with that? Okay.
I bet 99% of people don't even know about this.
Get this,
Shalom, sir. I was reading about Russia saying,
Tennis Wilson with African diaspora.
Go ahead.
Russia talking about just the day that he hopes that Trump don't make that mistake like we spoke about before. Russia wants that oil, so they're backing Venezuela. If he continues to do what he does, then Russia's talking about stepping in.
Right, yeah. Yeah, when you understand how war works, you need a whole lot of petroleum, gas, and oil to be competitive in a war, especially in a world war. So both China, Russia, and America is at that oil because they know there's a war coming, and they want to be able to have all the oil and gas they're gonna need to endure the war. So they all in behind that oil. And like I said, I think that's gonna be what's gonna jump the war off. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay.
News. And as a reparations advocate, somebody who has stood up and spoken out about the necessity for Black Americans to be compensated for our pain and suffering in this here American journey, a scary thought occurred to me one day. I said, what if it come to pass that we fight for reparations, the bill passes that we get the reparations is everything that we dreamed of, and right when they cut the check, the currency crashes? What if geopolitical events that are out of the general day-to-day spectrum and scope about what Black Americans be focused on when it comes to our survival and our thriving here in this country could jeopardize the justice that we are owed? Well, this brother seems to think that we are on the precipice and the brink of the EU pulling the nuclear economic trigger on America because of Trump's policies. Check out what this brother has to say. I think it's worth talking about.
On this episode of FAFO, the EU has informed President Trump that if he continues to support Putin in this war in Ukraine, they are going to liquidate their US Treasury bonds, which would, in effect, be the end of the US economy. If you don't understand what a Treasury bond is, I'll explain it to you. The US spends so much money on military activity, especially out of country military activity, and has given so many tax cuts to billionaires that we don't bring in enough tax money to pay for any of it. So what we have to do is sell treasury bonds to other countries, which is pretty much a loan. Give us your money and you'll give us the cash. We'll use that cash to pay for everything we need to pay for, and we'll give you interest on this bond that we gave you, right? So it's like they're investing in the United States. So if we don't get those bond investments from other countries, we literally don't have cash to spend on the things we need to make the country function. Not just military, also domestic programming. So if the EU is actually about that life and they're gonna walk that walk, this would literally be the demise of the United States as a world power. But we'll see. Have a good day.
Okay.
Those are some heavy words the brother just gave to us. He said this could be the demise of the United States as a world power. How How realistic is this? And where is this brother getting this information, right? Because as I've said in my previous videos, the power of Black Americans is a soft cultural power. And that's a very, very real power. It's because of soft power don't mean it ain't real power. It's real power. But it is dependent upon the hard power of the American infrastructure, right? The reason why hip hop spread across the world and our style of dance and our flavor and our swag spread across the world is because America has its tentacles across the world. And it has been the dominant economic power and dominant military power for the last 80 years, right? So this has been, more than twice all my life. So if that falls away and Black Americans are on this ship, essentially we'd be fighting for reparations on the deck of the Titanic. But how close are the Europeans when it comes to America's policy, specifically Trump policy towards Putin? How close is the EU to really sinking this ship that we are on right now? Well, the Economic Times has an interesting article, and here's how it goes. It says here, European governments are quietly debating an extraordinary economic countermeasure as fears grow that U.S. President Donald Trump may strike a deal with Russia that sidelines Ukraine and threatens continental security. According to internal assessments shared within Europe, officials are considering a drastic response, dumping vast holdings of U.S. government debt to destabilize the American economy if Washington abandons its commitments to Ukraine. The doorstep of doing this right now, and ain't nobody talking about it. So this is a situation that we have to watch carefully. This is not something that can just fly underneath the radar. In fact, any situation that affects the United States' global dominance as the world reserve currency, it directly affects any efforts that we have towards reparations. I want to make that abundantly clear, right? So if you're not following what's going on in the BRICS alliance and you're not diversified internationally when it comes to your portfolio, when it comes to your investments, y'all need to go ahead and do so, because we're entering a changing of the guard, globally speaking. And it's not just what China could do. See, a lot of people just looking at like, well, this is the BRICS alliance and what they could do. It's also because of the fact that this is very specific to Trump, how Trump could directly threaten your bag. It's because of the fact that Trump has broken the NATO alliance and put Europe into an existential crisis. And because of the fact that, like, European Western powers, majority white nations, let's just call them what they are, kind of have like an unspoken agreement that they're not going to really pull the trigger on one another, which is interesting because, like, Russia has never been included in that, at least since the Second World War, the Cold War, right? So Russia been
Okay, what you got? Anybody got anything on that? Okay. With that being said, we'll go to our current events. Okay. There we go.
Thank you very much. Well, it's a big day and many reasons, really for many reasons. And I have a very distinguished group of people behind me, mostly medical people and brilliant people, and they really know what they're doing. And I just want to thank them. They truly gave their lives in terms of the time and all of the incredible work they've done over the years in arriving at the position they have now, most respected people in the country. Today, I'm pleased to announce that I will be signing an executive order to reschedule marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 controlled substance with legitimate medical uses. We have people begging for me to do this, people that are in great pain. For decades, this action has been requested by American patients suffering from extreme pain, incurable diseases, aggressive cancers, seizure disorders, neurological problems, and more, including numerous veterans with service-related injuries and older Americans who live with chronic medical problems that severely degrade their quality of life. And it's so really, I mean, I can't tell you, I think I probably have received more phone calls on this on when doing what we're doing. I don't think I received any calls on the other side of it, but hopefully this reclassification, which by the way polls at 82%, will help many of those patients live a far better life. We're joined today by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's doing a fantastic job, Administrator of Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, the FDA Commissioner, Dr. Marty McCary, Director of the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, and the Director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, Dr. Nora Valkow, as well as Dr. Ilana Braun from the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Duke University's Dr. David Casseret, the National Commander of the American Legion, Dan Wiley, and my friend Howard Kessler. Howard, how are you feeling? I'm telling you, he looks better than he did 20 years ago. But I don't want to go through what you went through to get there. But it looks like you're doing great. I'm proud of you. I want to emphasize that the order I am about to sign is not the legalization, or it doesn't legalize marijuana in any way, shape, or form, and in no way sanctions its use as a recreational drug. It has nothing to do with it. Just as the prescription painkillers may have legitimate uses, but can also do irreversible damage and never, if you look at some of the damage that can be caused, wreck lives, and if it's abused, it's never safe to use powerful controlled substances in recreational manners, and especially in this case, if you take a look, illegal, very distinguished board, most distinguished people in the country, and I was surprised by it. I was honored by it. You know, we're saving the building. We saved the building. The building was in such bad shape, both physically, financially, and every other way, and now it's very solid, very strong.
So anybody heard anything about this? That he had an executive order today for pertaining to marijuana, passed the use of marijuana for it medically, which I thought was already in effect, but
Yes, sir.
even enhanced it.
It's the research they're still doing on it that he's talking about. Because he did go back and say it doesn't mean that it's going to be legal or anything. Just continue to research, but I think it's just gearing up to the votes when the election time comes.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm opening up for Q&A. Anybody have any questions, any comments, dialogue, any testimonies? Do I got anything?
Shalom, yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. I'm trying to think what to even start with. Different languages in Genesis 11, 1 through 9 are given. And was the Hebrew the first language before then that everyone spoke, or a language that was given after the Tower of Babel?
No, Hebrew is the original language that came from heaven. That's what the angels speak.
And then I have, in regards to that, Zephaniah, chapter 3. Chapter 3, verse 9. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, to serve him with one consent. So my question in this verse is, when it says that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, one thing I noticed, sorry for the feedback, one thing I noticed with the prophets, if they have a question, they ask. And whenever there's a verse like this about his people calling upon his name, the prophets never question what is his name. So, and I know this has been a thought going on for some time. Would you say the original Torah and Tanakh literally had the Lord of Hosts name in here? Because you never hear the prophet say, well, what name will that be?
Oh yeah, it was in there. That's part of
Okay.
the part of what they've done to us is they've taken all that away. Because when you understand like a name, it supersedes language. Because you're gonna say that person's name no matter what the language is. Like Yahweh, no matter who's saying it, it's a Korean or a Macedonian or whatever, they're gonna say Yahweh. It supersedes language. But so they had it. They were saying their names. They took it out, took it away, and they put in titles.
Okay.
Right.
And then,
And
Brother Leonard, I don't know which class it was. Yeah, it was the men's line. When you went through the discussion with the two Harans, the two Nahors, and what lineage Abraham and Sarah truly have with each other. Also within that, you spoke about, I think it was that class, you can correct me if I'm wrong, about Sarah, her name, and it has something to do with being able to see or foretell, and that she's a prophetess. And there was conversation about that part in scripture where she's telling Abraham what to do, and the Lord of Hosts tells Abraham, listen to her,
right.
because she has heard, from the Lord of Hosts. So that's the first time I've heard something like that. And this is a question more on the personal side now. So since the age of 6, I've had dreams that just come true. And again, I'm going back to some times I've asked before, what do you do when there's not a male that's over you? What are you to do with information? I knew my parents were going to get a divorce at the age of 6. 7 years later, magically, they got a divorce. Out of all their multiple children they had together, I was very calm, and people thought I was going crazy because I was not irate, but I knew it was happening. So it was like I was horribly peaceful. It was like really strange compared to my siblings. There was a pause in that, and now I'm at a point in my life where the things that I foresee have nothing to do with family. It's just life. And I don't know if you know any more into like scripturally, our people from the scripture, and what are females supposed to do when they have information. So it gets overwhelming because I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. I have no one to be telling, if that makes any sense.
Well, somebody that's like-minded on your same within your family or within your environment or your sphere of influence, you share it with them. You know what I'm saying? And then somebody that you feel can assist you in whatever it is that you're saying, because a lot of things need to be said. Like I was saying, when you're praying, you can't not pray in silence. You got the Lord says, shout it out, shout out loud, cry out loud. So a lot of things need to be said. So you find a medium somewhere in there of somebody that you just, like I said, like-minded, and on the same road that you on, that you can talk about it. Whether it's a female or whatever, but somebody you talk to about it. I know back in the day when all this happened to me, I ended up in Books a Million. And then when I was in Books a Million, and I found out that I was walking around. I never been in the bookstore because I wasn't a reader. But I was walking around in the bookstore, went to the religious section, and it said there was a book sticking out. Little Book of Jewish Dreams. That was the name of it. And it was telling me, it told you in there, it helped me too, but it tells you how, when in the dream, you write down everything, because you begin, once you start dealing with, understand who you are, you know, me, I got a book, and I put it by my bed, so when I had dreams, because it's not going to stay long, when you wake up, you'll lose a lot of it. So you write down the main things, like, for instance, corn was in a dream, or oil, or you know, anything like that. You write those things down, then you go to the Strong's Concordance. Like, and then you just, you know, like if it says something, if it says rain, you go to the Strong's Concordance and just start going through the verses that have to do with rain, or either a star. You go look through that. That's what I did, and I got that from that little book I came across, and the reason I dealt with it was, what's my chances of walking down the aisle and that book sticking out? It was sticking out from all the rest of the other books. So I bought it.
Right. And
So
that
that's
helped.
one way to do it. That's one of the ways to, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. That
And
helped. One
Gabby,
of my problems I had was I can't remember specifics, and I don't want to call them random, but for lack of better words, I would summarize and tell people I was having dreams, random people, and they say, "Oh, you know, you need to go get a dream book," and it always feels off to get, you know, a random dream book, whether it's cheap off of eBay or horribly expensive in the bookstore, or you go get it from the library. It just feels like it's not assisting me.
right,
Um, so I had never thought of that going to the Strong's Concordance.
right.
Um,
You
more
write down
recently,
all the main words that's in the dream. That's as soon as you wake up, because you're gonna lose it. Like what happened with the Pharaoh. He told him,
right.
I had a dream, but it's gone away from me. So I need you to tell me what the dream was and interpret it. And they ain't never heard of that. And that's what Daniel did. Joseph, he told him what the dream was and he interpreted it. So you, I know I did, because you start missing, you actually missing out. 'Cause that's how he told Miriam and Aaron, I deal with people through dreams and visions. So you would want to be prepared, you know, because you could be in a warning, and you waking up and shaking it off. So you after a while, when you learn that, I have a envelope. I mean, not envelope, but a notebook and a pen right there by my bed. And so when those dreams, I have those dreams. I write down the main things. Then I come in here, I look on YouTube or whatever, gaze through there. But mainly I go to the Strongs, and then uh, get the word and get the verses that pertain to that word, and go to the scriptures and read them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and that helped a lot with me.
Yes, sir.
Right.
For
So
my, at one point earlier in life, I was writing, and um, I don't know if this happens to you, but I'm going to say, as you can imagine, you know, eventually everything makes sense, and there's no confusion about the dream. Then I stopped writing, and it was more of I just stopped. You know, it gets overwhelming sometimes. And
right,
Brother Leonard, you've talked about this before. You didn't ask for all this. This is just where the Lord of Hosts has led you. So whenever it popped back up, you know, I got another book, because honestly, I don't even know where the first one is now, but I got another book. Now, I don't want to say visions. It's not what we read in scripture, but Brother Leonard, it is overwhelming to say things and then they happen. For instance, I had a niece and nephew looking in the sky. My nephew said, it looks like it's going to rain. My niece said, yep. And then my nephew said, God's going to flood the whole earth. So then I had to explain, well, remember in scripture, he's not going to flood the whole earth again. Places
right,
will be. And immediately when I said that, I thought places are about to be flooded. This is earlier in the year when we had all those floods. The next day, there's the flood with the Christian whatever camp that got flooded, and all these people, all these children died. And so it's a lot to just say things and they happen. And it's a lot.
Right, yeah. After a while, you can tell. A lot of people don't know that, but it's just you can tell. It's the difference in a dream and a vision. You can tell the difference after so long dealing with it. It's just the difference in it because you can the mind automatically the way Yahweh created it. When you go to sleep, you're gonna have dreams. So you have to, and then when visions come, you can tell the difference. Well, if you ever experienced one, you know the difference in a dream and a vision. It's like vision is more like HD TV. You know what I'm saying? And I had learned that after it was so long because it was happening when I was younger, but I didn't know what it was going on. And then when I got older and he started really dealing with me, I realized it was the difference. That's how I found out who the Lord of hosts was because I asked. I noticed it was somebody dealing with me in the dream. Somebody was leading me to the dream. So that's when I prayed. Whoever this is that's lead me in the dream is who I want to deal with. So then that's when I went back to the scriptures, and then he was showing me who the Lord of hosts was.
Right.
Right. So yeah, that's how that happened. But yeah, that's using that strong concordance. I think they helped me out a lot.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right. Anybody else got anything?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I just have a little bit to say about Brittany's question and your answers and your comments to her, right? And we have had plenty of conversations about that. And I know a lot of times when we talk about things, and this is just, speaking from a Hebrew Israelite woman standpoint, right? Is that the Lord of hosts deals with the Hebrew Israelite man differently from the Hebrew Israelite woman, right? So we have to be careful with the way we think things are. I'm just going to put it that way. And like you said, Brother Leonard, you need to have conversations with like-minded people that is in your presence, that's in your circle or whatever. I am blessed to have Brother Leonard in my life, and like you said, it's a lot of things that's happening in my life that I did not ask for, but it is here in the presence, and I am accepting that because I know that it is a blessing from the Lord of hosts, because he knew me before I knew him. And that's one thing that I always remember when I have dreams or even things that I've dreamed about before that is happening now, that's coming to the light. It's like I never forgot. It just takes something, a certain thing to happen in order for it to come back to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I dreamed that years ago. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the Lord of hosts works in ways that is unimaginable to us because we serve a living God. JC has no meaning to us. He cannot do anything for us. So the Lord of hosts is who I give thanks for, and my Lord that is here for me to guide me and to teach me right as a Hebrew Israelite woman. And I wanted to say that, Brother Leonard. And with that being said, Brother Leonard, I do have something I want to say that I have been dealing with here the last couple of days. I just kind of been locked up, in the room doing some reading. I just ran across a simple statement that said something in the manner like, they don't mind when we call our brothers, the N word, but they look at us crazy if we call them king or my Lord, right? And that just triggered something in me as a Hebrew Israelite woman. So, of course, I'm doing reading and research, and things are coming to me. And I thought about the story about Joseph, right? And Potiphar. And I just really went to digging into this story, and so many things was happening. I had to go back to the book of Jasher and read up on it again, because it's just so much information out there, right? So I hope everyone be patient with me through this story I'm about to say, right? So we have to look at all the things that has been done to our brothers, especially the ones that don't even know that they are a Hebrew Israelite. We have men that have served years in prison behind what the white woman said he done, right? And the story I thought about was the gentleman that spent 44 years in prison. And then finally he was found innocent. They gave him $25 million, like that was a big deal. But 45 years of his life was spent in prison. So you think about what Potiphar's wife done to Joseph. She wanted him so bad, but she couldn't have him. And she lied on him, right? And in the book of Jasher, it says that he had his servants, to beat Joseph, right? And there was a little boy that was 11 months old now. And the Lord of hosts used him to speak on the behalf of Joseph. So with that being said, there's nothing that the Lord of hosts cannot do. And we have to give respect to our brothers, because it's not going to come from anyone else. And when I say us, I'm talking about us as black women, especially the ones that know that they are Hebrew Israelite. And I was speaking to Brother Leonard about this a couple of weeks now. We've been talking about this, like having these type of discussions on Women Night. I think is very, very important in order for us to be aligned into who we are. And really how much weight we carry in this journey as Hebrew Israelite women. So I want to read a scripture on that, Brother Leonard. Jasher, it's out of the book of Jasher. Let me see what chapter this is, Brother Leonard. When I was talking about this 11th month, chapter 44, Jasher chapter 44, verse 64. And it says, and while as Potiphar's men were beating Joseph, he continued to cry out and wept. And there was a child there 11 months old. And the Lord opened the mouth of the child, and he spake these words before Potiphar's men, who were smitten Joseph, saying, what do you want of this man, and why do you do this evil unto him? My mother spaketh falsely and uttereth lies. Thus was the transaction. So I just want us to remember, we just have to ask the Lord to show us and guide us as Hebrew Israelite women, and he will do that. There's nothing he cannot do for us. And I just want everybody to know on this channel that I enjoy you guys, and I enjoy learning. And I hope that I have spoken wisdom tonight to the ladies of Prophets of Awakening. Shalom.
Right here in that conversation, the reason I read Psalms 37 so much, because of, like you said, you have a dream, and you're thinking that it's going to come to pass right then and there, which some of them do, but a lot of them, like for example, you told Daniel, the dream was of long duration. So that's when you see in Psalms, I think I know at least 8 times he keeps saying, "Wait on the Lord." So you get the vision, you know it came from him, and you just wait on him because it's coming. If you're not gonna, he ain't gonna give you the dream if he ain't gonna complete it.
Right.
You have to have the patience. Everybody got that rent their own spirit in them when everything that happened right then, but you gotta tarry. And that's pretty much anything dealing with him. That's where the blessing and anointing come in at from charity. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's a unique strength right there by itself.
Right. Anybody else got anything?
Shalom, Sister Michelle. Thank you for those words.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Shalom, sister.
So this is my topic for discussion, and then we'll go into what I wanted to talk about, which is tied to everything we just talked about. It's like a covering. But anyway, let me get this right quick. Okay.
People are fighting for here, they can go there and it's given to you on the same platter. Wow. I could never own my own electricity company in America. Are you crazy?
Right, and
it would never happen.
You don't think they would even give you that type of like credit to start something?
It wouldn't even happen. It's no way.
We live better in Africa than you're living in America. The same house in Africa, you wouldn't even be able to be in it in America. You see, so you have help. You have, I've had friends come and be shocked. Oh, you have fancy cars. Oh, you have big houses. Yeah, did you think we were living in trees right now?
By 2035, the continent will have the youngest and the largest workforce in the world, and that's the future. It's not a challenge, it's a massive opportunity.
What if I told you that while social media is busy arguing about celebrities' outfits, scandals, and viral drama, a completely different story is unfolding, quietly, strategically, and far away from the spotlight? What if I told you that some African-American celebrities are no longer just visiting Africa for culture, photo ops, or emotional moments, but are studying laws, meeting government officials, buying land, opening businesses, and preparing to secure African citizenship and residency by 2026.
No other country has given this many people citizenship or welcomed us back like Ghana has. And so we're so thankful. We're so grateful.
No press releases, no breaking news, just private conversations, paperwork, and long-term plans. This isn't about running away. It's about positioning. Because while many people still see Africa through outdated headlines, those paying attention see something else entirely: opportunity, raw, fast-growing, and still early. In this video, I shall be revealing to you 10 shocking opportunities African Americans don't know exist in Africa. Not because these opportunities are hidden, but because they're not marketed to people who aren't looking.
Ghana has welcomed more than 500 persons from the diaspora to take up Ghanaian citizenship.
From citizenship pathways rooted in ancestry, to real estate prices that sound unbelievable by American standards, to booming industries where competition hasn't fully arrived, Africa is quietly becoming the place where second chapters are written. And here's the part most people miss. Some of the loudest supporters aren't talking. They're moving silently. Actors tracing bloodlines. Musicians investing off camera. Athletes backing startups you've never heard of. All asking the same unspoken question. What happens if Africa becomes not just a place of origin, but a place of advantage? Tonight, we're not speculating. We're connecting dots. Before we begin, hit subscribe so YouTube doesn't treat this video like a secret family recipe. Tap like too, because knowledge is free and regret is expensive. Let's get into it. 1. The passport they never post. There's a strange pattern nobody talks about. A celebrity posts photos in Africa, standing at a historic site, wearing traditional cloth, smiling quietly. The caption is vague. Something about roots, ancestry, or coming home. What most people don't realize is that some of those trips don't end at the airport. They end in government offices. Across several African countries, citizenship and long-term residency pathways now exist specifically for people of African descent. These programs don't look like Western immigration systems. There are no decade-long wait lists, no endless interviews, no humiliating visa rejections. Instead, they focus on ancestry, contribution, and connection. Ghana's initiative sparked global attention, but it didn't stop there. Other countries quietly followed, creating residency permits, heritage-based citizenship discussions, and special long-term visas that recognize diaspora ties. The paperwork is real. The timelines are shorter, and the cost? Often lower than a single year of college tuition in the United States. And systems are where diaspora expertise becomes valuable. Engineers, IT professionals, managers, planners, skills learned abroad suddenly become rare and powerful. And the competition? Still limited. This is why people say Africa feels early, not undeveloped, early, like Silicon Valley in the 1990s, before everyone showed up. The funny part is that many people think opportunity only exists where crowds already are. In reality, crowds usually arrive after opportunity has matured. Celebrities understand this instinctively. They don't chase trends. They position early and stay quiet. And when businesses start growing, governments notice. When governments notice, incentives follow. Tax breaks, special licenses, diaspora-focused programs, mentors, early investors, people who understand global standards but local realities. Historically, tech booms happen where barriers are low and urgency is high. Africa has both. Celebrities known for tech interests often back startups quietly, not because they need returns immediately, but because early positioning matters. The funny part? Some of the most impactful tech companies operate with minimal noise. No flashy launches, just steady growth. And when tech improves systems, everything else accelerates. Healthcare, education, wellness. Which raises an important question. What happens when Africa's growing middle class demands better care, better learning, and better living? That answer takes us into the next phase of this story, the health revolution no one is filming. There's a quiet shift happening across Africa, and it's not trending. As Africa's middle class grows, so does something even more powerful, expectation. People want better health care, faster service, modern facilities, and dignity in treatment. Governments alone can't meet that demand, which opens the door to private solutions. Private clinics, telemedicine platforms, diagnostic centers, wellness retreats, pharmaceutical distribution networks. These aren't futuristic ideas. They're operating right now, often underfunded, overstretched, and waiting for expertise. Here's a surprising fact. In many African cities, there are more smartphones than hospital beds. That imbalance creates opportunity. Diaspora doctors, nurses, healthcare administrators, and investors are quietly stepping in, not to replace public systems, but to supplement them.
Okay. Any feedback on that? What you think?
Shalom, everyone. Um, I'm listening to him, but when he said that it would cost like less than a tuition, I mean, college, and that can run up to $20,000, depending on your profession, what you want to go into. And also, he did not basically break down on how long it's going to take. It's not really a shortcut because it takes from 5 to 10 years for you to get a citizenship. You can get a certificate, but you won't be able to get a citizenship within until 5 to 10 years. He's saying it in everything that he's saying. He's leaving out certain things. Um, I've been looking it up, and a DNA test for ones who want to say that they're from their ancestors are from Africa, that's like from $99 to $299. So there's a lot of fees that goes into that. And yes, he mentioned the stars, those you know, the stars that's going over there. They got the kind of money that they can do it, and they probably can get around a lot of stuff faster. But an individual like a regular citizenship, I mean citizen here in the United States, going over, they're gonna have to have some money to actually get over there and, really say they're gonna, want to live there. And because you have to take 2 trips, you got to go first, come back, and that's money. So you just can't go over there and say, yes, I want to become a citizen. No, you got to go back and come. Then when you come back the second time, you're able to do those things. As I was reading up on it, so it's certain things he hadn't said, but so far what he said to people who have that money, they probably would take on and go and try to make it happen over there in Africa. But he didn't say which states that they would accept where they can do all those things. So it's a lot of things he left out.
Okay. Anybody else got anything on that?
Yes, sir. Shalom. I
Okay.
was listening, and I think everyone, even international governments, knows that Africa could be doing more and has the ability to without anyone's help. I think this video is also showing us again that things are going to be in order before we get there. And we being the Hebrew Israelites, I recently saw that Algeria, which is North Africa, but also the Sahara because it's so big, has a railroad that will be expanding, and it will make its railroad expand all the way across Algeria, far northern Africa, all the way into Niger. And that was very interesting to me because I have this crazy mind that thinks the Sahara is where all of the land is that our people had finally taken over from the Canaanites. So with all of this stuff that they can do in Africa without anybody's help, I think the video is showing us signs of prophecy. That's how I look at it. We're going to go back to a land we read all over, even in Zephaniah, it talks about how the nations around will be giving you gold and silver. And so if that gold and silver is in the form of not AI, but technology, it's still gold and silver. Gold is used in almost every computer and technology of device of every type. And it just makes sense for the countries to come up. Specifically, Algeria didn't get sponsored by the bank. The bank is actually its partner. It said it will be a partner with the Algerian government to make sure it gets done. And that was very interesting. I've never heard of a bank saying, as opposed to just giving you a loan, we're your partner, and we're going to make sure strategically that this project gets done. So I think the video is letting us know prophecy is being fulfilled.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, so like I said, the previous conversation we was having, a lot of it falls under this, and we're so far away from our culture too that this thing that we don't know about our culture that asks a lot of questions for us. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to play this video. Okay, here we go. It's about the significance of a head covering for women.
Of our Torah tidbit. In today's session of our Torah tidbit, we're going to be addressing a question that I've been asked on a few occasions. And so I've taken this issue to prayer, and I pray that the counsel that is provided today gives a sure word for us so that we can proceed ahead with confidence that this is Abba's will for us at this time. And so the question that I've been asked on a number of occasions is, should women pray or prophesy with their head covered? And so, as with anything, I seek the Most High Yahuwah for his will and for his guidance, and I go to scripture. And also, it becomes necessary to look at a little bit of history, cultural history, to see what was done in the past so that we can derive an answer that is satisfactory, not necessarily to us and what we think or what we feel, but one that is satisfactory to the Most High Yahuwah, because it is him, it is he that we desire to please. So let's get started for today. The question on the table is, are women required to cover their heads when praying or prophesying? We're going to begin in the book of Corinthians where this topic is discussed. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 1 through 7. Be ye therefore followers of me. Now this is the apostle Paul speaking, and he's instructing Though
Yeah, we're gonna rightly divide this. We have to bear with it, but we're gonna rightly divide it when it is.
those he's writing to at the assembly at Corinth to be followers of him, he says, even as I am also a follower of Mashiach. So he's saying, follow his son, and even those who aren't submitted. Okay? Yahusha, Mashiach, is the head. He is the leader. And the head of Mashiach is Yahuwah. All praises to the Most High. So the Apostle Shaul has presented here a beautiful chain of authority for us to understand. Yahuwah is head over all. Then comes Yahusha. Then comes the husband.
We know that's a lie, but yeah, we're gonna let it keep going.
Then the wife, okay? And then the children are under them. Verse 4. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. And his head, according to how we understand it, the way it's just been described for us, is Mashiach. The head of every man is Mashiach. So if a man prays or prophesies with his head covered, he's dishonoring Mashiach, who is the man's head. And actually, he's the woman's head as well. Okay? But let's continue. But every married woman that prays or prophesies with her head
This is the part I want to get to right here.
uncovered dishonors her head. Now, the woman's head is her husband. But you could also say that she dishonored.
So right here, we got to make it work around this Christian stuff. But so right here with the head covering, when it says that she's covering her head because of the man is authority. He has a covering. So that's included in everything. This where so many things are getting out of hand at. So when it comes to visions, dreams, like we found out that Sarah was a prophetess. Isaiah's wife was a prophetess. Judith was a prophetess. But these women was operating under Hebrew law. But now what has happened because of what they've done with the New Testament and with the Gentiles and all that, they are outside of that. But these women are operating within the Hebrew law and the customs. And so, like he said, his head covering is all about her authority of the man that's over her. Because we know that the Lord of hosts is over man, but her authority is over them, so they don't come outside of those bounds. They understood that. But now because let's keep going with it. You see what I'm
herself. So she dishonors her own head, meaning her own personhood. She also dishonors her husband. And because Yahusha is the head of us all.
When she's not covered up, she dishonoring him. Right? And like I said before, look at what people doing now. It's not, you got if you go back in time, you'll see that a man would meet a woman, and because of the customs and the laws that governed us, they never knew what she looked like. So the only thing they can go off of was her countenance, which is what we're supposed to be going by. And then you wonder why so many marriages not working, because of they seeing everything, and they're making decisions based off all the wrong things. But back then, these head coverings and all that it had meaning to it. It was what you call barriers. They understood. It wasn't like it was male chauvinist or whatever, but it was barriers and certain things that was done. It's like I was saying, when a man can't go find himself in heaven and then start trying to rule over the angels, because he'd be out of line. He's got barriers, and like I said, this head covering when it comes to the woman and all that, it's got a lot going on with that we've lost. I'm gonna play a little more. I ain't know all this Yahshua and Hachuma was in here, man. I got give me a headache.
All praises to the Most High Yahuwah. So the Father covered Yasharal with his To salvation, he has covered me with the robe of righteousness, propriety. All of that was communicated, and that simple outward action of covering herself with a veil. She is now loudly, even though she said not a word. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So we're going to continue on to see how this veil or this covering of oneself really demonstrates to us what our cultural practices were back then, back in the day. So we're going to look up the word that's used for covering in this passage that we just read, and it is the Hebrew word kasa, and it is kasa, kasa. It is a verb, and it means to clad self, to close or to clothe, to conceal, to cover self, to flee, to hide, to overwhelm. But the idea here is a covering or a concealing or an engulfing, okay? To cover for the purpose of secrecy.
Right. So you see how the Strong's coming into play, like I said, so check it out.
So Rabka, covered herself and hid herself is an indication of modesty before her husband. Also, now that she had seen him and said yes once again in her actions, to cover herself in the presence of those other men was necessary.
Check it out.
A woman was not to at that time go around uncovered in the presence of other men if she were married. That was the custom. Okay? Let's continue. In Yeshayahu chapter 61, verse 10, we read, I will greatly rejoice in Yahuwah. My soul shall be joyful in my Elohim, for he has clothed me with the garments of salvation. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom decks himself with ornaments, or pa'ar, and a bride adorns herself with jewels. So it reads at the bottom here, thus Rebekah's veil was an outward expression of inward honor, signaling her willingness to enter into a covenant relationship with Yatzah in purity and in propriety. All of that was communicated, and that simple outward action of covering herself with a veil.
Right. So when you see the veil, this is what it symbolizes. We so far from that to change.
Now hidden in Yatzach's tents, she's hidden under his skirt, she's hidden in covenant relationship with him. Right. She's been
not JC. Okay.
Covered. Continuing. The veil as a symbol of marital covenant. Rebekah's act of veiling herself immediately upon learning Yatzach's identity symbolizes her transition from one household to another, from her father's house to her husband's house. In ancient Near Eastern culture, marriage was not merely a personal relationship, but a covenant that united families. The giving of a bride often involved elaborate rituals signifying the change in her social status. Veiling was one such ritual, marking the woman's separation from her family and her consecration to her husband. The concept of covering as a sign of covenant relationship is echoed throughout the scripture.
So one of the things I want to shine light on that we was talking about earlier. So right here, he's telling you what the veil represents is that her commitment to the man that the Most High gave her, right? So that encompasses everything. So you had a dream, you have dreams and visions where you could sow with him, or like I said, you are married to your daddy, to your brother or whatever, but it's not you wanting to go seek Yahweh because that ain't how it go. Okay.
Example, in Yakazaka or Ezekiel chapter 8, Yahuwah uses the imagery of covering to symbolize his covenant with Yerushalayim. And so let's read that. And it reads, when I passed
so like Michelle was saying earlier, when they didn't denigrate our role. They don't want to deal with us. So when you look at what they're doing, they don't want you to go deal with the man. They want you to say, I'm going to deal with Yeshua. That's my man. See, that's they impose that on. That's what they impose on us into our psyche. But that ain't how it go. Okay, because they don't want to deal with the Israelite man. They don't want to deal with the man that his son, like he said, the whole house of Israel.
By you again, I saw you. Behold, you were at the age for love. And I spread the corner of my garment over you and covered kasa, your nakedness. I made my vow to you and entered into a covenant with you, declares Yahuwah Elohim, and you became mine. All praises to the Most High Yahuwah. So the Father covered Yasharal with his skirts, indicating that we are now in covenant relationship. I have covered you. When a woman covers herself with a veil upon saying yes to a marriage proposal, she's not only saying yes to the marriage proposal, but she's also indicating in her action that she has come up under the skirts or the covering of her husband. So the Father covered us with his garment. So this is beautiful. It's beautiful.
Covered the men of Israel.
So let's continue. Veiling is a sign of anticipation and submission. Another dimension of Rebecca's veiling is that it expresses submission, not in a modern, distorted sense, but in the biblical sense of mutual roles within a covenant relationship. Rebecca's covering her face was a gesture of her consent to the marriage and her acceptance of Isaac's role, Yitzhak's role, as her husband. It was an acknowledgement of the structure of the marital relationship as designed by Yahuwah, where both husband and wife fulfill complementary roles. And so she said yes. Once again, she said yes. And she would have understood the importance of that action because she grew up in that culture and knew exactly what to do. A woman was covered and protected, veiled. There were certain rights and privileges and protections afforded to her when she was veiled because it signaled that she was either betrothed or that she was already married. Okay? And so just in a simple act of what you're wearing affords a protection to you and also status. She had the status of a married woman just by what she wore and not even by what she said.
So let's look at that. Let's look at that right quick. For two things I want to say something about. Understanding this right here, what she's talking about the being veiled and the purpose of the veil and all that. And she was saying how they're being protected. Well, look what's happening now with us. It's like women. Well, it's something like 120,000, 140,000 coming up missing every year. And then look at the men, how they getting killed. And then so the veil is how they being protected. And the man was protected by circumcision. We ain't doing that. And look what's happening. This how important that is. We was reading in Jubilees, he said that the sign wasn't on the man. He's destined for destruction. That means anything can happen to him. You get hit by 18-wheeler, you get anything can happen. And the same thing with the woman. You're not veiled and you're not covered up and all that. All that means something. But then taken away from us. And then we don't understand why a lot of things, so much stuff happening. Okay, like I said, we fish out of the water.
The veil is also a sign of submission. And so as the woman wears the veil, she is signaling to the world.
So an example of that is, I'm gonna let the rest of this play, then we'll pick a scripture. So, like I said, look at the book of Enoch. Look where we at now, people that's on Prophets of Awakening. They're dealing with the book of Enoch. They're dealing with Jackson. Well, he's not book is told you don't deal with the book of Enoch. Don't deal with Jackson. Don't deal with Jubilees. They denigrated them. And you got 90-some% of people ain't dealing with them. What's the same with this? You looked at it. You looked at it as they denigrated this, where the women running from it. But she breaking it down. You see that it's all protection, just like with the circumcision. When Antioch Epiphanes came, said that they denigrated the Israelites because they were circumcised. Then you had Israelites going trying to uncircumcise themselves to the point to where we at today, where we don't have no clue the significance of that. The angels ain't there. They ain't there to play marbles. They watching. They watching everything and observing everything. They know the law.
And especially to her husband, she is submitted under his authority. And that is pleasing to her husband and to her master, Yahushua HaMashiach.
Yeah,
and in the process, she honors herself.
So if you want to watch that, it's I'm quite sure some people aren't probably familiar with it, but it's Trumpet Call. You want to watch that? That's the channel. I can't take too much of that. Yahweh Shai and Yahushua. Anybody got any comments, question?
Yes, sir. In the current day and age that we live in, is covering yourself, and I'm not talking about your body. I'm more specifically having a head covering. Is it wrong to have it if you're not married? And I'm asking because of what she said. And then also, I've wondered, I don't want to say always, for quite some time, why did Rebecca cover herself when she knew that that was her husband? So I guess I'm asking in regards to today's age, is it wrong to wear a head covering if you're not married?
Well, according to what was broken down and what's in the scriptures, she said that when they was coming back from Mesopotamia, wherever he went and got her from, she asked the can't think of his name. Who was that? Jacob. Who was Isaac? And she wasn't covered. Her head wasn't covered. But once he told them who he was, she covered herself because that's who her man was. So if you out and about now, you don't have a man, your head don't supposed to be covered. So these are signals. These are things he's saying that when you out and about and a man see that you, and you with your man, see you and your man is in the vicinity or whatever, and your head covered, all those are no-nos. But this is like I said, we don't know nothing about that culture. But these are things, these part of the curses. Like I said, so many of us coming up missing because we outside of, like I said, we fish out the water. And even like I said before, it's a time for that. Like he said, he's gonna call Israel, he's gonna regather. It's a time for when all that stuff is gonna come back into play. But it's not gonna hurt to understand it. You know what I mean? That's like dealing with JC and knowing damn well who he is. Once you find out who he is, you don't deal with him no more. Okay? So it's not gonna hurt you to not know. I mean to know. Yeah. Somebody has something?
Yes, sir. I was looking at a show one time. It was a while ago, and it was about the Judaism and the Orthodox people. The women cover their head for that same reason. When they're with their husband, they make sure they cover their heads. And they were doing that for about in the 15th century. Ever since then, it became a tradition in the Orthodox religion. Those women would cover their head, and you can see them walking around with their hair covered, and I'm just, when it was talking about that, I just realized about the Orthodox people doing it, or religion.
Okay, yeah. So when you understand all they doing is they got it from us. They got it from our culture. That's what it's so much stuff that people doing now. They got it like Christianity is pretty much all of that came from most of the things they're doing. They got it from us, but it's been polluted because they're not the people. And they done mixed it and synchronized into other stuff. But yeah, they got it from it originated dealing with the angels and what was given to Moses. Okay.
Shalom, brother
Anybody?
Leonard.
Yeah, go
Shalom,
ahead.
everyone. Brother Leonard, I'm gonna say some things that you always say, right? With this, one thing about her, she sounds good, but she ain't. You know what I'm saying? First of all, you threw me off when you started from the back of the book. We don't need to start from
Right.
the back of the book and go to the front of the book to understand our culture and all that. Whatever she was saying,
Right.
is garbage. Like I'm like Brother Leonard, it gets on my nerves after a while. I really do try to take the meat and throw away the bone.
Right.
But if you go back and you read Genesis, right? When Genesis chapter 4 and start with verse 62 through 67. Just letting the ladies know, go back and read that about Isaac and Rebekah marriage, and also go to Numbers chapter 5, laws regarding jealousy, that talks about the head covering in there, and also what the priest done to the woman, right? So it's a lot of scriptures that we can go to understand who we were all already. And another one that really stands out to me is in the book of Proverbs. Also, read, go to that Proverbs chapter 31, verses 26 through 31. You know, read that also when it comes to head coverings. Now we think head coverings is fashion,
Right.
fashion and fads, and everybody else is doing it. So I'm gonna do it too. But then the thing that gets me, they got their head covers, but their boobs and the booty is out. I mean, what's the purpose? And like Brother Leonard say, if our men were handsome, what do you think the Hebrew Israelite women look like? So to protect ourselves, we need to be modest. We don't need to walk around like all the other women. And that's what I was saying about Proverbs chapter 31, where it says verse 29, many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feared the Lord, she shall be praised. So we gotta have respect for ourselves.
Right. So there's a lot going on with the veil, just like with circumcision, and but it's been taken away from us. Been
Yes.
taken. The understanding been taken away. All those things are what made us, like He said. The Lord told our forefathers, what nation that has so great a laws as ours. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they know what nation had those laws, statutes. Okay. So anybody else got anything on that?
Yes, sir. I have one more question, and it is in regards to what Sister Michelle said in chapter 24 of Genesis, when I was about to say Isaac, Rebecca sees Isaac, and it says in verse 65, for she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, it is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. And my question here is a veil only covering your head, or is it more than that? And it pertains to what even Sister Michelle was saying. So much can be uncovered. And I'm not about to sit here and say that Rebecca rolled all the way in a swimsuit. I'm not saying that. But is she actually covering her face with this veil? Or is it only her head she's covering?
What's the rest of it? When you understand how that goes, the rest of their body was already covered up. But what I got from this when I heard it that made sense to me was, long as she was with those other people and in the caravan or whatever they was in, her head wasn't covered. It's when she came in contact with her man, she covered herself, her face, put the veil on.
Okay, right.
You know what I'm saying? And then it could be that was their first time meeting, so she covered herself, covered her face. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. And Brother Leonard, we have to understand also, we didn't go looking for a man. The man came for
Right.
us. So in our culture, we knew when that was happening, we knew, what was going on. That was the tradition. We wasn't like Potiphar's wife, she was just after Joseph throwing herself all over him. Then she got sick because she couldn't have him and all that. That was not the way Hebrew Israelite women were. This is a custom part of our culture that we have to read between the lines and understand. This was the way things were in place. We didn't go searching for a man. She was out in the fields doing as normal, whatever. I'm pretty sure she wasn't expecting this to come or whatever. But when she spoke to the servant, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
She understood what was going on then. So she knew what to do, because then if you read the last verse, it says the last two verses, and the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife.
Right.
Yeah. So this was part of our custom, like part of our culture, and that's what we have steered away from as Hebrew Israelite women, is just understanding our culture and who we are. We get amongst men and we automatically want to get their attention. That's not the way it works.
Right. She did the opposite.
She did the opposite.
She didn't want him looking at it or nothing on her physically, so she covered up her face and then dealt with him.
Right. So the women then was, they knew that their hair has the same status as any other private parts of their body. You know what I'm saying? So it's things that were understood. I can go on and on, guys, and about this stuff, but like I said, thank the Lord. I have a great teacher. My Lord, he teaches me all these things and we really get deep into it. Then I go and I do my own research to get a better understanding. And if I don't understand, I have someone to go to. So we have to look at the video that he played, and we have to understand that we ain't got to listen to Paul, what was in 1 Corinthians. We don't have to go to the New Testament to understand who we are as Hebrew Israelite women when it's all in the Old Testament.
Right. And then the stuff they put in there, you can rightly divide that it ain't true or it's a lie, because of when you understand how the culture was. Like a lot of the things they were saying with that they talked about Judith was that was it was Hellenism.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's getting a proper understanding. You can rightly divide on what they've done and what they've added and what they taken away and all that. So yeah.
I had two quick comments. Sister Cheryl had mentioned Orthodox Jews. I don't know if we watched the same thing, Sister Cheryl, but I had saw something like that some years ago, and I was frustrated with it. You guys, I was so frustrated because they're saying one thing but doing another in the video I watched. And what I mean by that is it's any head covering, including a wig. And I'm like, but that's so out of line. It's still hair. I don't care if it's real hair or fake hair. you can still see your hair. And I agree with tying this all full circle with Sister Michelle that your hair makes a difference. Seeing hair is basically like seeing the backside or a chest that's coming out of the shirt. And I can only attest to that because when I started wearing a head covering, I had got my hair done to be in one of my best friend's wedding. And I felt naked, you guys. I felt so naked. I had been so accustomed to having my head covered. I did not know people looked at you that way.
Right.
It is so different. And all I could, at the time I'm watching this video, I had already had that happen. So I thought, oh, they're not really covering their head. It's a wig. You're getting just as much attention saying, well, I'm going to cover my head when I get married, but you still got this fabulous wig on that looks like real hair.
Exactly. Right. And it's what it is implemented when you're not covered up. So that's and a lot of people don't understand that, but they did all this a long time ago. They denigrated our book, and so we thinking that everything good when it ain't good. Yeah.
Shalom. I kind of looked at verse 65 a little different. Wouldn't they have them cover their veils are on them until they get married? And once they get married, they pull the veil off. So she was walking around without a veil on. And then when he came, because she had it with her, when he said, who is that coming up? So she placed the veil on her face. So I thought that they would have veils on. As I've seen in old movies, everyone walks around with the veil on their faces. And then as they're saying this, she put the veil on. And then once they were married, when he took her, she took it off. So is it that way? Should they all have veils on until they get married? And that's when the uncovering?
You got to look at what the veil represents. It says
right.
A veil represents that you are committed to somebody. You're a spouse to a man, or you married a woman. So if a man see a woman with a veil on in the marketplace, you already know you ain't got nothing to say to
her. Okay.
But if they walk around with the veil off, then they're eligible. Women of eligible age.
Oh,
so like she said, when she was over there when he found her, and she was a woman of eligible age, and he told her where he was going to take her to. When they got close to where he was at, now she's coming to the man what she going to be a spouse to and finna get married to. She put the veil
on. Okay. Yeah, I was looking in the Bible dictionary, and that's where I got it from. So perhaps they, like you say, it can be typology occurs because it said it different. It was different. So that's why I mentioned it. Thank you.
Exactly. So yeah, with that being said, somebody got a scripture they want to read. You want to read it and then we break it down?
Brother Leonard.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Sister Michelle.
I was going to follow up with Isaiah chapter 3, verses 16 and 17, the daughters of Zion.
Okay.
Verse 16, moreover, the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tingling with their feet. 17, therefore the Lord will smite with the scab of the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. That was Isaiah chapter 3, verses 16 and 17.
So what do you mean by discover the secret part?
It's going to be unveiled. because they was always covered, just like I spoke of when I said that the hair is just like any other private part of your body. It's covered.
Right. They're gonna be violated too.
Right. Exactly. Yes,
And
sir.
so that was one of the things I was saying about back in the day when I was first coming into this, when Lord Host was revealing to me who Israel was, and then I was dealing with that right there, and I was watching on TV because I used to always get this funny feeling about over in Africa, you know how they show the women, how they, you know, the kids with the big stomachs, and then on a lot of those movies when they would come into those African villages, they just pillage a village, and then when the aid workers would come and bring stuff, and then when they leave and had these little girls running behind running behind the truck naked. See what I'm saying? And I couldn't take it because he had opened my eyes up, and I said, "This is what he's talking about. This is what he's talking about." And so everywhere now, when you go, when you know where these certain places at, there are a lot of us, the Israelites said, that's the condition we in. Especially during the Arab slave trade. They made the men, which is when you understand how that works, these wicked ass spirits and all that is operating too. They gonna make sure they're naked. Even when we came here on the auction blocks, they made a point they was naked. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So with that being said, anybody have anything else? I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. We have our men's advanced Bible study tomorrow. Women can come in through YouTube. So I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.